Hey, what is up guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we're going to be doing the unthinkable of testing out the $12 gaming processor.
Let's get right into it, shall we? But first, a word from today's sponsor.
Do you need help with YouTube? Are you ready to take the next step and make your channel bigger? Alright, well listen up, I got just the thing for you. It's called TubeBuddy. It's an extension tailored for YouTube and it offers all kinds of tools. One of my favorite is the tag suggester, and another one of my favorite is the best time to upload feature. But that's only to name a few, so go check it out for yourself in the link down below.
So as Jackson mentioned, this video is going to be focused around a $12 gaming processor, and some of you out there might have heard of it already, but we are focusing on the Xeon X3440 and what we have right here, which is the X3360.
So the difference between these two Xeons is this one here is a true quad core, the X3360, and then in this one, the 3440 actually is a quad core but it hyper-threads and has 8 logical cores.
Now, a couple other things to consider is this processor right here, not that one. This one right here comes out of the box with a clock speed of 2.5 gigahertz, and this one comes out with a clock speed of 2.9. But really, that doesn't matter all too much because the main factor when choosing some of these Xeons is being able to overclock it. The cooler that we did use with this system was the Fuma cooler from our friends over at Scythe. This thing is totally overkill with 2 fans and massive heat pipes, but it was a great way for us to overclock this thing on this motherboard, which we actually picked up on eBay for $40.
So the motherboard we have here is an Asus H55 motherboard. They come in all different variants, but this one here we did a little bit of research on, and this one does support overclocking. We did have to do a BIOS update, however, to be able to actually unlock the overclocking features. Now the other thing is that these are kind of limited on overclockability. Sometimes the P55 motherboards are a little bit better. Basically, the more money you spend on one of these boards, probably the better overclocking support you're gonna have.
We managed to get our Xeon up to 3.4 gigahertz. 3.4 gigahertz is actually a pretty respectable number on a motherboard like this. You want to be very careful with these two. You could push it a little bit further, which we might actually be doing in a future video, but you can kill these motherboards. There's a reason why there are a ton of Xeons that you can get for $12 and a very limited selection of motherboards. The motherboards die a lot faster than these processors do, so it's kind of hard to find where you can actually buy these things, but we recommend eBay or AliExpress if you're willing to wait or are outside the United States.
So the graphics card we decided to use for this was the EVGA 1660 Ti. Now the reason we went with this and not something like a 1060 was because we realized this processor had a lot of potential to it, and we didn't want to bottleneck it by putting in a graphics card that wasn't quite good enough to be able to keep up with it in games. So 1660 Ti was actually like a perfect combo because it really did help push the processor to its limits.
And in terms of gaming performance, this thing did pretty well. Overclocked to 3.4 gigahertz. We were playing a ton of games, as you can see on screen right here, and getting very respectable numbers. Yes, the 1660 Ti was held back a little bit by this processor, but keep in mind, the 1660 Ti is close to a $300 graphics card, and we're pairing it with a motherboard, CPU, and RAM, all of that stuff that's less than the price of that graphics card. So in terms of price performance, you're getting a really good value with this system, and also, you know, you could do a lot of different stuff with it.
So Matt and I did a few builds back in the day using the X3360 and also the X3440, and we kind of did both variants because obviously when you do the 3440, you kind of want to go with a little bit of a better graphics card than when you use this. But interestingly enough, if you guys look up the benchmarks, they're actually pretty close in numbers just due to the fact that this one's a little bit faster out of the box.
So basically, there are a lot of options to choose from, and overall, we still recommend these processors. Are they the best bang for the buck? Not the best, but in most cases, they can be really good if you can find a good deal on a motherboard. But as always, with computer hardware, you can always step up to the latest and greatest and get something new at a cheap discount as well. But what we plan on doing with this system, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is doing another budget build around it and see how well it performs in a full budget system with a more budget-friendly graphics card in 2019. So if you aren't already subscribed, so you can see when that video goes live. But I know Jackson and I love these Xeon builds. They're super easy to put together, and overclocking support, especially on this Asus board, is really good. So I definitely recommend you consider this if you're on a tight budget.
So as always, don't forget to like, comment, and as Matt said, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one involving this.
Goodbye. Adios.
What do we do if this video is fucked up? We just
Try it.